Hey Internet, it's me. Now, I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but I had to wait for a thing that I'll get to in a minute. But first, I want to talk about a game I actually mentioned in a video a long time ago called Astebros. At least I hope that's how they're pronouncing it. It is this game. Now, this is a game made by a company called Neofid. I hope I'm saying that right, too. Basically, this is a roguelike made for the Sega Genesis. And the graphics and everything in it and about it just absolutely look amazing. This is not this company's first game. They also created Demons of Astebros. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, too. In fact, that's just going to be a theme from here on out. But one of the big standpoints for this company is that their graphics and the pixel art and their colors and just the way they present things visually in their games, absolutely top tier. You could put them against any classic company that developed for Sega, Sega themselves, Interplay, EA, any of these companies, and these guys would do just as well, if not better. Their visuals are amazing. I know I don't have any on the screen at the moment. I'll get to that too. But I just want to say first off that I've been excited about this game for a while, before it even existed. When I saw the Kickstarter, I was thrilled. I really was looking forward to this. And I have the game. I've had it for a while, but I haven't talked about it yet, as you've noticed. In fact, I don't just have this copy of this game. I also have this. It came as a 2-pack, Astebros and Demons of Astebros, the other game I previously mentioned, here on the Evercade. And not only that, I have this really cool collector's edition version. The box is actually signed, that I got for being a Kickstarter backer that backed at a slightly higher amount than the other backers. In fact, I believe I mentioned that in my old video too. And if I did, I'm going to put a clip right here. If you're one of those people that likes to overspend your allowance and has really deep pockets, then there's even, on the Kickstarter, the option to back at a level that gives you a custom bar-top arcade machine with the game on it, in it, whatever the correct word there would be. But if you're looking to get that particular option, then you might want to act fast, because there's only 5 of those slots available. Actually, there's only 4 of those slots available. And see, the thing is, I was the only person that backed at that level. So, I was set to receive a 1-of-1 bar-top arcade machine version of this game. And that machine is what I've been waiting for to make this video, and that machine just arrived today. So, I'm gonna move my camera real quick out to my garage, and we're gonna unbox it. Alright, so as you can see, we're in a garage now, and this is a large crate. I did crowbar it open earlier, sorry dog, but didn't fully unpack, so let's do that now. Which, by the way, if you've ever wanted to feel like a man, crowbar open a crate. It will be the greatest thing that's ever happened to you. Okay, so there is a lot to unpack here. I don't know if a good way to do this, so I'm just going to make a mess.
2 hours later. Now, you may have noticed from what we saw on the startup that
This is not a dedicated machine as one would maybe believe or want. This is, in fact, an emulator. So, now that we've established that, beautiful side art, by the way, 10 out of 10 there, let's take a look at this bad boy. Since I'm the only one that has this machine, I'm the only one that can show you this. Starting off, there's a keyboard with a Raspberry Pi logo. That should tell you right off the bat, this is not an arcade cabinet, this is an emulator. Here we have a monitor, custom built in with a bezel to hold it in place. Wires to our LEDs and speakers, presumably. Down here, we actually just have a surge protector that everything is plugged into. And I can't get at it readily because it's mounted to the bottom down there. But there you will see the controls and presumably somewhere the Pi itself are all wired up. So let's close and lock this. Kill the machine for a second. And let's talk about this. Now, like I said, all the art on this cabinet, 10 out of 10. This thing is amazing. Yes, by the way, there's nothing more pathetic than trying to capture your own image on something with a reflective surface. Here we are. But yeah, if you look at the art on the actual button controller, sorry for my ceiling fan creating a weird glare there. The name of the thing, the icon of all the playable characters. Again, the side art, which is in fact on both sides. Even just the green little protective strip that's on here, it unfortunately does not go all the way along the bottom, so we've got a little bit of scuffing there. Beautiful cabinet. Looks great. Big fan. There is some residue here from where the keys were unfortunately taped, that was dumb, to the surface in transit. So there is some tape residue left over, which is not my favorite thing, but eventually I'll hit that with Goo Gone and it will solve itself. Also, I will point out, it uses just a standard 3-prong cord, similar to like you'd find in any monitor. It did not come with one, however, which is an interesting choice to not include a $3 cord on a $3,000 machine, but here we are nonetheless. So onto the machine itself and not the aesthetics. The gameplay is perfectly fine. All the buttons are responsive. They feel really good. These are solid buttons, so the gameplay matches that. It feels great. Obviously, I haven't tried it on 2 players yet, but just from a size standpoint, I'm only using one hand right now, but I could comfortably fit both hands on here and have another person next to me with both hands over here and play this in a co-op experience. So I have no qualms about whether or not that's going to be great. It definitely will. My one issue is the fact that this is emulation. I know emulation is something that happens. You know, I have a Polymega and an Evercade. Those are both emulator boxes. Emulation is a thing. We've all kind of accepted that now. However, for a custom-built machine like this, especially for the price tag that came with it, I really would have expected this to be, I don't know why I'm looking at the viewfinder and not in the reflection where you can see me looking at you, which is weird. I would have expected this to be a dedicated machine. I know that would have been a lot more work and a lot harder for the team behind the game to produce, especially considering they're only going to make one of these. That is a big ask. I totally understand why they went the route they went. It's still unfortunate. I still would have preferred an actual cabinet. And again, the cabinet plays the game, so it's not a lack of functionality. It's just a lack of authenticity. This is just a main cabinet. There was actually other, as you saw when I scrolled through the menu at the start, and this was my first time too, so I didn't know any of this when I received it. I'm learning this alongside you guys. But you saw there were other consoles on there that were supported. A bunch of them had ROMs loaded up. Even the Genesis console, which this is just running an emulation of the Genesis game, it had other games in it, including other versions of this game, a demo of their other game, Demons of Astebros, and then a bunch of other random games. Astebros, rather. So yeah, it is just a MAME cabinet, an emulator. And I'm in the process of building a MAME cabinet myself. That will be another video at some point. I'm hoping to do this summer, but it's a big project. We'll see. But MAME cabinets do not cost $3,000. I got the full-size cabinet that I'm going to create the machine out of for free from someone on Craigslist. And yes, I do mean Craigslist, not Facebook Marketplace. That's how long ago I picked up that cabinet. I got the X-Arcade tank stick, the professional one with the full 2 set of buttons, the trackball, the whole shebang. I also got USB-enabled coin slots. I got a PC to put on the inside that will run MAME because I don't want to run it off a Pi. I want to run it off an actual dedicated computer. So I got all the components for this thing for under $1,000. And that is a full-size cabinet. Granted, this here is a very sizable bar top machine. I don't have anything good to give you the scope of it. I don't have any bananas. I apologize. There's my hand. So, I don't know. Let's call it 6, maybe 7 hand widths wide. It's a good size. It definitely is. But it's not a full-size arcade cabinet. And I do have a full-size arcade cabinet that's going to be a MAME machine that will have cost a third of this. Granted, I have to assemble it all myself. It's not going to have this beautiful dedicated artwork. It's not going to be as unique or customized as this is. But it's still, this being an emulator does take away from the coolness a little bit. It does not take away from the functionality. I still am very appreciative that I have this. It's still a one-of-one machine that I now own, which I think is great, not just because it's unique. Granted, the collector in me does love that it is, but also because it's just a really cool thing. And I love that I was able to support an indie company creating something new. You know, they created a new game, a beautiful game that is super fun from what everyone said. Granted, I've played so far about 4 seconds of it. You saw that earlier. I've been holding off on touching this game at all until I got this machine and could do this review. So I'm just going off of what I've heard and seen, but the game looks amazing so far from what I can tell. It feels amazing, and I am excited to have supported this game, and I'm excited to spend a lot more time playing it. But I do wish, just for the novelty, that this was an actual dedicated machine and not an emulator box. So if I have any complaint about this machine, it would be that. Otherwise, 10 out of 10. So overall, I'll give it like a 7 out of 10. I know that feels like I'm detracting a lot, but it does take away from the experience a little when you know that it's an emulator. Also, it doesn't have coin slots. So presumably it's just, you know, it's the same gameplay loop as the Genesis because it is just the Genesis game being emulated.
Hey Internet, it's me. I know I already said that, but the first part of this video was actually filmed last night at 11 p.m. And while that's a great time to unpack a large wooden crate, and which, by the way, again, just, you'll never feel more manly in life than you will when you're crowbarring open a wooden crate. It's magical. But 11 p.m., have I been saying a.m. or p.m.? 11 p.m. is a great time to open a wooden crate and to set a bar top arcade machine on your kitchen island for some reason. It's not a great time to actually do a full review of a game. So it's tomorrow now, hence the different clothes and the extra greeting. Anyway, here we are. I know I already talked about my arcade machine specifically, but I do want to talk about the game itself. It'd be kind of silly if I didn't. So you're going to see somewhere on the screen footage of me playing the game. I am playing the Evercade version in the footage because I did not want to pull the Mega SG out of my little warehouse and reconfigure my whole entertainment center. And the Evercade was already there, so here we are. I will say, right off the bat, the Evercade version is actually different from the Genesis version. The key mappings are obviously different, being a 4-button layout with the shoulder and trigger, as opposed to the Genesis, which has, you know, a 6-button layout. So it's kind of interesting to see that they didn't just remap the keys, they actually changed, like, the in-game interfaces to show the updated button layout. Also, the intro sequence was different. There's, like, extra cutscene introductory stuff. honestly, seeing that makes me a little extra sad that the arcade version wasn't unique, and that they didn't adapt it to have, like, coin interactions or stuff like that for the arcade. But again, they would have to do all that extra work and adaptation and changing of code just for one customer. And while I did pay a premium for the arcade machine, that is a lot of work for one person. I get why they didn't do it. It's just sad. But anyway, on to the game itself. As far as roguelikes go, this is definitely one of them. A good one, in fact. It's hard to say much because if you've played I think Rogue Legacy, I don't want to say this the gold standard because then I'm going to get the Actually crew listing a dozen roguelikes they think are better or more iconic or whatever. But Rogue Legacy is one a lot of people are familiar with. I think even like Markiplier or someone played it, so it's gotten a lot of attention. If you know what roguelikes are, you probably know that one. So that's the benchmark I'm going to use. Sorry for all the sniffing and eye watering, by the way. Allergies murdering me right now. But this game does pretty much everything that one does. You've got 3 different characters you can choose from, and then during each of your run-throughs, you collect golds and consumable items like bombs or keys or whatever. And every time you die, you carry the consumables with you to your next run. However, during each run, the map is randomized, and you can pick up different skills or unlock different things, and those die when you do. So, in your first run, if you find the triple jump ability, or maybe a stat boost that gives you 10% extra HP, it's only good for that run. Whereas, if you're running through the maze and you rescue an NPC who then says that he'll see you later and join you at your camp, they will be at your camp going forward. So every time you die and return to your camp, where you can change your character or start a new run, they will be there. So some progress is permanent, and that permanent progress gives you an extra boost so that you can go further with your next run. I don't know why I'm explaining roguelikes to you. Again, if you know what they are, then none of this is news. Basically, I'm just trying to iterate that this does all the things that Rogue Legacy or any other roguelike would. And that doesn't sound like praise. It sounds like I'm saying this game is more of the same. And that would be true, except for the fact that this game was made for the Sega Genesis. No one else built a roguelike for the Sega Genesis. This is a hell of an undertaking, and it hasn't been done before. When the Sega was active and in production, it wasn't even a thought in people's minds to make a roguelike. That's not to say that developers back then weren't as good as developers now or anything like that. No disrespect. It's just that this wasn't even a game genre that had really been thought about or fleshed out as much. At the time, as far as roguelikes were concerned, one of the, I don't even want to say big, but one that I remember existing at the time was Castle of the Winds for the PC. All the art was done in MS Paint, and it only had, I think, 15 floors in the dungeon. It was as basic gets. And that's maybe as close as we've got. And even that, I don't think was a roguelike, because I think when you died, your run was done. It just had a lot of the elements, as far as, the randomized dungeons and a lot of those aspects. A true roguelike like this, where you carry on your progress and use it in further iterations, that just wasn't being done. So no one built one on the Genesis. This game is the first of its kind. So like I said, comparing it to Rogue Legacy, it's just more of the same. But it's more of the same on a console where that's never been done before. So it's not more of the same, it's the only one. It's a new thing. They're the only people that did this. And that makes this just incredibly special and noteworthy. So, if you like roguelikes, playing this will feel like all the other roguelikes you played, which, if you like them, is a good thing. This gives you what you want. But it gives it to you on a platform in which you've never experienced it before, which is incredible. Also, again, I need to point out just how great the visuals are in here. This really stands up alongside things like Sonic Spinball or Earthworm Jim or just any of these other Genesis titles that had, rich colors and detailed backgrounds and really intricate sprite designs. This matches that energy. They did a great job here. Visually, this is incredible. You know, the overworld hub has so much detail for what's essentially just a map and a level selector. You know, if you play the Mega Man games, you had a blue background with the face of the 8 bosses that you could challenge. Here, there's a whole map, and everything's moving, you know, the leaves and the trees are moving, there are people moving about on the map, like, it's just so much detail for no reason. They didn't have to go that hard for the map screen, but they did. And it just really shows that they cared about their game. Also, there's something I noticed while playing. The footage is just kind of playing, so I don't know if my comments are timing up to what I'm showing. Sorry, I'm bad at this. But one thing I really want to note is that when you kill an enemy in one room, and then you leave that screen, and you go to a new screen, it's a whole new screen, new enemies load in, all of that. If you go back to the old room, the enemies are still dead. Not only are they still dead, but wherever they died, the corpse, the skeleton rather, that they dropped, is still where it was until you attack it and then loot whatever the skeleton would give you, whether it's money or materials or whatnot. That's incredible. I don't know how many people are familiar with like the development of a game, but usually if you have something that is going to persist throughout your playthrough, you set it as like a flag. Think of like Super Mario World. When you hit the switches, you know, the yellow switch, the green, red, blue, etc., in the code, basically, that's flipping a switch associated with your save file that says, you know, yellow switch defeated equals true. Once that happens, that level is now disabled, and all the yellow invisible outline blocks become solid and tangible. And that's just a single record that you record in your data, and it's part of your save file. It just persists forever. In this, when you leave a screen and go back and the enemies are dead, that's not a flag. You can't create a flag in the data for every enemy that could possibly exist, especially because the dungeon layouts are randomized. So you can't even plan for everything because you don't know what screen is going to be where. So that means all these dead enemies and the location of their corpses and whether or not you've looted the corpse is all stored in memory and persisting throughout screens. I know I'm getting really technical. A lot of people, this isn't going to mean anything to you, but that's an incredible achievement, honestly. Like, that's really, really impressive from just a development standpoint. It's incredible that they were able to do that and not take a hit to performance because the game runs super smooth. So I just really wanted to point that out. Like I said, I don't know how many people would notice that or think about that or even know what I'm talking about. But as someone that does, software engineering or computer programming, whatever you want to call it, as I pretend to do during the day, I noticed, and it's super impressive. It's really cool that they were able to pull that off. I genuinely would love to know how they're storing that all in memory, because I went through multiple screens, and everything stayed how it was. Everyone that had died and I didn't loot the corpse, I could go to other screens, kill more enemies, do other stuff, come back. The corpse is in the same location. The enemy did not respawn, and the corpse did not disappear because I had not looted it yet. That's really impressive. So overall, I guess really my point here is that this game is just great. They did a lot to make this game similar to like a modern roguelike, but on a 16-bit console, which is beyond impressive. It's really, really no small feat. Like, I can't overstate how incredible it is that this game exists the way that it does. So if you enjoy roguelikes at all, or if you're just a fan of the Sega Genesis and you just want a really beautifully designed and just fun to play game for the Genesis, I cannot recommend this one enough. It is great. Also, like I said, it is available on the Evercade, so if you're one of the people that has one of those, you can buy it there. And it also comes with Demons of Astebros, which is the other game that they've created. That's more of like a side-scrolling platformer, like a Ghosts and Goblins kind of thing. But it's just as beautiful visually. It's just as tight as far as like the controls and the gameplay. They're both incredible. And they also have a Kickstarter that just wrapped, so I probably should have done this video sooner, for a game, Gladmort, which will be their third game. And that one looks to be just as good as well. So basically just keep an eye on Neofid here because they're doing great work, and I expect them to keep pumping out just really awesome games. As for the arcade machine, mostly I just wanted to brag that I had it because it's a very unique thing and really, really cool. I am still disappointed that it was not an actual arcade experience, that it's just an emulated version of the Genesis ROM. Um, Still an awesome thing that I own. Still thrilled that I have it. I don't even regret what I paid for it. It's fine. I know it's a lot of money. I'm not telling you how much, but it's a lot for a Raspberry Pi, essentially. But it's still just really cool to have. It's really unique, and I'm glad I supported this company with how quality the games they create are. So, yeah, it's an awesome thing that I have in my collection, and no one else has it, so neener neener, I guess. But that's going to be it for this video. It's not super long. I didn't have a lot to say. I just wanted to show off my cool new toy, and then also really just hype up this game for anyone that somehow had not heard of it or had not bought it, because it really is just, it's worthy of all the praise. It is an incredible game. You should all be buying it right now. In fact, turn off this video, go to their website, and I'll put links or something maybe, and just like go order a copy. It's that good. It needs to be purchased by everybody. Go buy a copy. And that's where I'm going to end. Okay, bye.